Like we had 3 different cocktails. And then wine.
Hey, fuck off!
So if I'm leaving, like, Pizza Express.
If anyone gets mud on this white coat, I swear to God I'll kill you.
I felt like a right twat.
This is Your Welcome America presents Girls Aloud Off the Record episode 4. I'm Ben.
And I'm Fraser.
Fraser like razor.
And for the next 2 weeks, we are recapping and reliving the classic 2006 reality show Girls Aloud Off the Record. Girls, 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 girls. Oh, you can watch along with us because the episodes are still somehow clinging on youtube.com.
If you don't know what Girls Aloud Off the Record is, let me tell you. The show follows our beloved UK girl group in the build-up to their 2006 Chemistry Arena Tour. From appearing in TV shows to filming the Whole Lotta History video in Paris, promoting in Australia and New Zealand, to promotional appearances in Ibiza and Greece, and going on an ambassadorial trip to China with former London Mayor Ken Livingstone.
Very important to get that detail in there. And here's what's coming up in episode 4.
This week, they get to test drive cool cars. But mixing 5 popsters with some expensive motors isn't necessarily the best plan. They get to travel the world.
Oh, how glamorous it is being on Girls Aloud.
While another realises there's no place like home.
If anyone gets mud on this white coat, I swear to God I'll kill you.
There it is.
My lord. I mean,
Lovely.
I feel like last episode I said, oh, well, this is where all the iconic moments come from. I was wrong. This one's filled with iconic moments. Some that I remembered, some that I'd forgotten, and one piece of comedy involving a digital camera that is one of the greatest comedic lines that's ever been written in the history of television.
We have a beautiful taxi journey, which is my highlight, and we'll get into it. Let us hear the theme tune.
Okay, so the episode opens up. We have our usual flashy montage. I just wrote the note, those fucking striped outfits. Haunting me at every turn in this show.
Once again, recycling a lot of footage, sometimes just putting it in different orders. I don't know, playing it in rewind. We're not being fooled.
Yeah.
So, as ever, we start the show with this busy montage. It essentially is saying, do you know what? 2006 is a busy old hectic year for the gals.
Yeah.
We properly meet a new character here.
Yeah,
Don't we?
Drew Lyle, tour manager.
Drew Lyle, tour manager. I tried to look him up to see what he's up to now. I think he's still a tour manager. In 2014, he was Talisa's tour manager.
Oh, we are young. Hoo-ah, hoo-ah, hoo-ah.
So,
That was really good, wasn't it?
yes?
As good as Talisa.
Okay, fine. So if he can handle Girls Aloud, he can handle Talisa.
Absolutely. Female boss.
Drew is telling us that there are corporate gigs the girls can do. And what's crucially, he says that the corporate fees are paid outside of the record company. So I think what he's saying is when the girls get paid for the corporate gigs, the girls and maybe management get to keep it. But that Polydor,
Yeah.
Rachel Cook, she's not getting a penny.
She ain't seen hide nor hair of that, is she? Hassan Chowdhury from last week. He ain't getting none of it. So basically the whole point of this moment, and we then cut to Hills, old Hillbag, and she's just like, basically, she sums it up perfectly. She says, well, she does one of the biggest lies in history where she says, well, the reason we love doing corporate gigs is the girls love to play live and, get the chance to do that and, they get paid for it. It's like, Hills, I don't think the girls are chomping at the bit to sing Love Machine in a dusty old conference room in,
Jersey,
thank you. I couldn't think of a single place on earth there.
Hillary, she's on a couch in that scene, noted the heavy pine furniture in the background. There was a photo frame on that heavy pine sort of sideboard. It's a photo frame in the shape of a bone.
Oh.
So I like to think it's maybe like a dog.
Or like a dinosaur. Like the time she went to Jurassic Park and then she put it in a dinosaur bone-shaped thing. That made perfect sense
she
to me.
went because she obviously knows Dr. Sarah Harding.
Exactly. Oh my God.
Finally, we're getting to merge the worlds of Girls Aloud and Jurassic Park.
Finally, we can I'm sure we've never talked about it on the podcast before, but the fact that we love that Julianne Moore's character in The Lost World is called Dr. Sarah Harding.
And we, to this day, would like to have a Jurassic Park themed party where we come dressed as Sarah Harding from Girls Aloud, dressed as Dr. Sarah Harding. It's niche, not gonna lie.
It's gonna happen one day, and you and I are gonna be the only people that laugh about it. But hey, isn't that all we ever need?
Shall we go to Athens?
Well, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just log on to genericlibrarymusic.com and type in Greek. And then maybe also like a Zorba the Greek ripoff. So not even the official Zorba the Greek song. I'm just going to have like, da-dum, da-dum. It's like, well, I think we might be going to Greece. I also think this might be racist.
So the Girls Aloud are going to go to Athens for 5 days.
But 2, as they called it, surprise corporate gigs. Why are they a surprise? Who are they a surprise to? The people in the corporations.
Now, imagine working at a corporation in 2006.
Oh my God.
Imagine working at a Greek corporation and one day it's like, oh, we've got that meeting at 1. Do you know what it's about? I don't, but let's go to the conference room. You go in.
Bum, 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 bum. Your calls late, big mistake. When I hang about. Be like, what is happening?
It's like,
who are
well,
these women?
You hit your Greek targets. You sold all the ouzo. So yeah, we've got you Girls Aloud.
It says they're going to be in Athens for 5 days, and then they have like a very short clip of what I think might be a corporate gig, or they show a clip of a performance, and it looks very depressing.
Yeah, pretty bare bones.
Yeah, very bare bones. I feel like they've got those folding director's chairs that they lugged on them to the EasyJet flight to Greece. Drew Lyle had to put them in his suitcase and have everything in his carry-on.
That's his job.
Just a couple of pairs of pants in his hand luggage, and then just 5 director's chairs in his suitcase. So let's just... Shall we just stop and have a conversation about this hotel? What are the 2 words in your head? Because I've written it multiple times, and I need you to say it in your accent.
I don't know. I find this so funny. I would describe this hotel as...
You almost said it.
Dead funky.
My notes are filled with the words dead funky. I just put dead funky hotel. Let's get into those dead funky details, shall we?
Now, I want you to describe the hotel to me, and then I'm going to tell you something that you do not know.
Okay. So the hotel is all white exterior with some dead funky kind of perspex pops of colour. So the balconies in the rooms seem to be kind of a perspex lime green. Then around the pool is a perspex pink kind of partitions and perspex and like pink accents. It's dead funky.
All the rooms are white, but it looks like you can flick a switch and it suddenly turns a sort of blue.
Yes.
Like you're in a darkened room and you've left a computer on.
Yes. Very that. And then the screensaver starts.
Yes. So this is the Semiramis Hotel. We're at the Semiramis Hotel in Athens, Greece.
Right.
Would you like to know a secret?
Oh, please tell me.
I have stayed at this
Oh
hotel.
my God.
Because
And did you say, oh, this is dead funky when you walked in?
dead funky. Basically, because of this show, I've stayed at this
Are
hotel.
you kidding me?
No.
Well, actually, to think of you watching this in 2006 and then the aesthetic of that hotel, which I think making it sound like you've moved past that, it's very much you would still probably stay at the Semiramis Hotel.
100%.
A stark white hotel with pops of perspex colour is really your whole vibe.
So I watched the show, I loved it, and then weirdly, in about 2007 or 8, 2007, I had a long weekend free and I had some spare cash. So I flew by myself.
Oh my goodness.
To Athens, and I stayed there for a couple of nights, didn't leave the hotel.
So you basically did like one of those pilgrimages when someone's a huge fan of something and you fly there to like experience it yourself.
Sure did.
Wow. Okay, well, we'll get into your experience at the Semiramis as we go along, because we're going to spend quite a bit of time there. Well,
fun fact, on the plane ride on the way over, I was so hungover, I vomited.
oh wow. Had we been out somewhere?
I had been. I'd been out in London somewhere, and I'd had a burger from Balance at about 4 a.m.
Oh, were we together?
No.
Because I've definitely I think I've had a dinner with you in Balance at 4 a.m. before.
Oh, that's fun, isn't it?
I love that place. It was so shit and so
Big
good.
one or the small one? I think I'd been at the small one.
Yeah, the small one. on Soho Street.
On Old Compton Street. They're both on Old Compton Street.
I literally said Soho Street. Like, is that a street? I feel like I've lost my mind. I'm like, Soho Avenue.
Soho Road?
Yeah, Soho
Right.
Lane.
Back to Athens.
Okay, so I wrote, Sarah's had it. She's off to see her mum for a couple of days.
Yeah, so Sarah, because they've got these 2 corporate gigs, but
Yeah.
they're there for 5 days. They've got like a few days in between.
It sounds like they did one already, and then the other one isn't like for another 3 days or something. So she's decided to fly home for 2 days to see her mum. I don't believe she's going to see her mum.
Oh my God, I wrote, do we believe her?
Absolutely not.
I do, and I don't. I think she's going to go home, she's going to pop to Stockport, see her mum, and then she's going to have a fun few days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fair enough.
She just wants to have some time alone away from the girls. I don't blame her, especially after this episode.
So, tour manager Drew, he's happy to be away. He likes it, but he's like, the girls are bored.
Yeah. Well, and then the voiceover describes him as long-suffering tour manager Drew.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I was like, all right, we don't need any editorializing from you, Paul Nichols. Thank you very much.
And also, like, he's staying at the Semiramis in Athens
hello.
for 5 days.
He has 3 days off at the Semiramis, okay?
We then have a beautiful, very long, quiet shot of Kimberley in a robe, and Kimberley's sitting on her hotel bed, and she's doing her MAC makeup. This whole sequence is very pre-ASMR, but it's very
Kimberley,
relaxing.
oh my God, Kimberley could, I would love her to do ASMR stories or like, yeah, so the whole point of this scene is they're kind of talking about, as Drew set up, that the girls aren't so great at having downtime when they're not at home because they kind of are so used to go, that when they get downtime, they either just want to be at home or not. So we then cut to our Kim. She's just putting on her MAC makeup and wearing a white robe in front of like a Perspex block behind her. And she's kind of just like, oh, the thing about us is that we're so used to just having people around that can tell us like how to do something or where to go and what time we need to get up. And, sometimes just when that's not there, you think, oh God, it's a little bit scary. I've editorialized a little bit and shortened that down, but essentially that was the gist.
That's the gist. Did you also notice on the bedside table, on the funky bedside table, there's an empty bottle of Diet Coke? Like one of those mini glass ones you get in Europe.
She's like, I'll just do that. I'll do the mini bar. It's all right.
Do you think she got that in room service? That'd be about €7.
I don't think so. Kim strikes me as someone who went to like a local supermarket and bought herself some supplies for her room. I think she's smart like that.
And the way she nipped out.
Yeah.
She just thought, Drew, I'm just gonna go.
Yeah, honestly, she genuinely strikes me as someone that's smart enough to do that, to be like, she just wants to go and have a bit more choice. Because, sometimes when you get room service or the mini bar, it's all the same thing over and over again in all different hotels.
Well, yeah.
Very similar items. And I can just imagine her being like, oh no, I'll just pop to this. I want to get a couple of things that make me feel at home.
Well, as someone who stayed at the Semiramis and didn't leave for 3 days, yes, I do. I do know that.
I just wrote my final note is, this hotel. And then I wrote the pink Perspex.
I've called this next section Drew's Day of Fun.
Well, Ben, I've called this Drew's Day of Fun also.
Aww.
Everyone was keeping up with my tally and listing of every song used from every album in the show. We are using Real Life from What Will the Neighbors Say? 'Cause baby, this is real life. It's a really bad song. So we're back on the coach.
So what is Drew organised for the gals?
So apparently Drew's organised a surprise for the girls. So we're back on the coach, and it turns out he's organised for the girls to walk to the highest point in Athens. And as the voiceover points out, it's 2 miles uphill for some of them in high heels.
Uh-oh. So now Cheryl's a real standout here. I want to just talk through what t-shirt Cheryl's bunged on for the day.
Well, let's actually start from the bottom and work up with Cheryl's outfit. So
Up the hill.
she's wearing a kind of a mid-sized heel. It's kind of a green. It looks like it's almost green and kind of cork. There's elements of cork. It's very mixed materials.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it wooden?
Yeah.
Is it cork? Is something along the lines?
She's wearing a mixed material heel.
I'll tell you something. It's not suitable
Not
for a
suitable.
2-mile trek up a hill.
Up some cobblestones. Cobblestones. She's then wearing she's wearing a pair of, I wrote them, green pedal pushers.
Okay.
And then she's got her big bug sunglasses on. And then she's got a t-shirt, just saying a fun statement. What does it say?
Careful. I had a bowl of bitchy for breakfast.
Well, she certainly did. I think she was trying to be funny by wearing that t-shirt, but actually she really just... This is, I would say, aside from her throwing up in a bin, this is one of the standout moments that everyone remembers from Off the Record.
Imagine if SNL existed in the UK in 2006. This would be my audition.
Right. One of your impressions.
Yeah, I am now going to do Cheryl Cole, reluctant to do a 2-mile trek up a hill in Athens.
Oh my God, we should have auditioned for UK SNL 2006 as a pair, and we would have been like, this is a scene of Cheryl and Kimberley climbing into, and I could have done our Kim's, the comic timing on this bit. But, so basically, this is a standout scene from Cher's because the issue we have here is she's not happy about climbing the hill. That's the short version of this. I think in her head, looking back, I think she was thinking, I'm going to have a bit of fun and point out about how absurd this is. And I'm going to be like, I'll be on the audience will be on my side. Unfortunately for Cheryl, she said so much and they cut it together all in one go. It's not good. She's a real moany moaner in this bit.
So we start off, we're obviously in Europe, and therefore there's just like a cafe on the side of the street. They pass it, and Cheryl says, Drew, can't we just sit at one of these restaurants? Oh, wait, that's not the right accent. Drew, can't we just sit? No, I've lost it.
It's, hang on. Newcastle. Oh, we're Drew. Why can't we just sit at one of these restaurants?
Can we just, Drew, can we just sit at the restaurant? I keep on doing Liverpool. I've lost it. Shit.
Baker Grove.
Baker Grove. Can't we just sit at one of the restaurants, Drew?
That's
it.
Yeah.
It's because I'm doing my SNL edition. I got nervous. My nerves got to me.
Yeah. So that's her first moany statement is, she's like, can't we just sit at this restaurant? And then she does this. Obviously, the people at the restaurant are staring at her, and she does this really like fake smile at them, and then her face just falls. But it just in that small glimpse of a moment, seeing her do a fake smile, she looked so beautiful and like winning that I was like, wow, she's the professional. Like you can imagine her being really angry, turning on that smile, and people being like, I met Cheryl, she was so smiley and lovely, and she's just like fuming. Anyway, and then,
does anybody care that we're going to be at the highest point in Greece? Seriously?
Oh my God. I wrote at this point, no one's on Cheryl's side. I mean, I think they might be on Cheryl's side by the end of it. We see that especially Kim and Nicola aren't happy about it either, but no one is speaking up alongside of her. It's just her doing an endless monologue.
Well, it's that thing of, when you're doing something that's kind of annoying, you don't want to do it. If you talk about it, it's worse.
Yeah, it's like, let's just get through this or try and see some of the benefits of it. And actually, I'm truly on Drew's side in this. It's like, he just organized a nice thing to do. It's like, just be more grateful.
Do you think that looking back on this, the girls might be like, yeah. He was right.
Yeah.
We had some days off when we were in Athens. We may have as well done something lovely and local.
I think much older versions of them would say that, yes.
But why didn't Drew at least tell them? He didn't have to ruin the surprise, but why don't you say, put on some sensible shoes?
I feel like shenanigans might be afoot from filming for that, producing of that. I think that was their attempt at getting a little bit of like fun jeopardy in there, I think.
I also think that Drew is straight and just doesn't quite get it.
Yeah, well, that too.
Okay.
That too. So
back to the hill.
Going up the hill, and so no one's really on her side. As she walks, we see her walking past a wheelie bin, translation dumpster, and she just said, "It smells of shit." And then she looks down at the phone, and she goes, "That's what it is, actual shit." So they're walking through the streets of Athens at this point. They haven't even reached the kind of, like the tourist, like the staircase moment to get to this thing. So she's not happy they're walking past actual shit. So then she's still going on. Do people not have the fucking poop and scoop rule here? And at this point, Kimberley is like, but again, she's kind of like, oh my God, please stop.
Kimberley has her own wardrobe woes here. Don't know if you noticed.
She's wearing a real low-rise jean.
A low-rise jean that are so long. It's that classic thing of like, you're constantly stomping on the jean underneath.
She's having to pull up jeans because they're falling down at the top and also being pulled down at the bottom. She's definitely, I think Nicola and Nadine seem like they might be outfitted pretty okay for this.
True, but Nicola's not happy with some of the locals.
Yeah, because they look like murderers.
Yeah, she's like, those they look like murderers, referring to the locals. I'm like, oh, this is not great. So
okay, so now we've just reached my favorite moment of the entire time of them climbing this hill is that, we hear Cheryl being like, oh, who gives a fuck about the view? Like,
a nice view of what? Houses and buildings.
Yeah.
So you can see them in pictures.
And then at this point, like they're all walking ahead, and the camera crew have stopped with Kim, and she's in her lovely voice. She goes, "It does seem like a nice view, but I don't really care." And then her digital camera that she's got around her wrist, she picks up and tries to take a picture. She goes, "Can't see anything through this." And then she just goes, "Oh, it's actually not that nice of a view." And I was like, do you know what? What she just did and said in that one sentence was the most perfect version of all of the talking that Cheryl's done. She said it. It made me laugh so much. The thought of Kim just not quite working a digital camera properly and being like, oh, God.
I
you can imagine her getting home and plugging that into the laptop, putting the lead in and being like, oh, no, these aren't really that good, are they?
I wanted to know what else was on that digital camera.
Oh, I would love to see that. So we finally reached the top, don't we?
We sure do.
And it seems that there must be like a cafe at the top.
Yeah.
Because we suddenly cut to Cheryl's stone face sitting with her arms folded.
I would describe, the best way to describe them all as hot and bothered.
Very, very H&B. Everyone's arms are folded. They're all furious with Drew. Cheryl's still, to use one of my favourite words, wanging on about the fact that the view wasn't even that good and it wasn't worth it.
I couldn't give a shit.
Yeah, again, and the other girls are like, and again, it's kind of like, Nicola's on her side, though.
Kimberley gives a finger to the camera.
She does.
We've never seen Kimberley like this before.
This is her at her most wild, and I don't want to see that again.
No. We want her back in that robe, just doing her makeup.
Yeah, exactly.
That bottle of Diet Coke.
Yeah, I felt very shaken to the core by Kimberley giving her finger to the camera. I didn't like it.
So
they pop in a cable car and head down to the bottom of the mountain.
It's interesting, this whole scene, because you would think that Nadine might be a bit of a moaner or something, but not a peep from Nadine until we get to the bottom of the hill, because do you know what? Detective Nadine, she helps solve.
She really does.
Solve almost a crime.
Inexplicably, Drew doesn't know where the hotel is. He says, does anyone know what the address of the hotel is? And then that's kind of the theme of this part of the episode, is that everyone's a bit helpless and hopeless without all the management around. And they're all like, oh.
So Nadine takes charge and shouts over to a taxi driver. She's like, excuse me. And she's like,
excuse me, is this your taxi?
Is this your taxi?
Do you know the way to Semiramis?
Semiramis. And she says, it's describing the hotel. It's kind of like pink.
It's kind of like punk.
So, thank God for Nadine.
Yeah.
She's there saving the day.
Pulls it together. There's some questionable treatment of a local Greek taxi driver in this segment from the camera crew and the girls themselves. So this kind of grizzled old Greek taxi driver kind of is like, yes, I'll take you. Yes, I'll take you. And then we cut to Nicola and she goes, why is he looking at us like that from head to toe? And I'm like, because you've got a camera crew and you've all just hiked down a hill wearing like heels and your kind of low-rise jeans anyway.
Yeah, so Nicola and Cheryl are initially not happy about getting this taxi.
Reticent.
No, reticent indeed. Now, they have what I would refer to as a classic taxi ride in Europe.
Yes.
So basically, Nadine's asking if she can order another taxi, so there are two, and the driver's like, no, it's all cool. So they all pile in to this one taxi. So we've got... What? It seems like
we've got four girls
and Drew in the back seat. We've got Faye on camera.
We've got Faye
on the front seat.
Yeah.
And you're all piled in. Have you been in a taxi like this in Europe?
Oh, definitely. I've done, well, not even in Europe. I don't want to talk about the fact that I'm mixed race and my dad's from the Caribbean and we would summer there every year when I was growing up. But yeah, I've had more in the Caribbean. I've had some incredibly dangerous like taxi and bus rides where it's over capacity.
And it's like, no, we'll sit forward, you sit back. No, it's fine because the two of us will sit forward.
Yeah. So we've got who's on the bottom? On the bottom is Cheryl, Nicola, and
Drew.
And
then we've got Nadine leaning forward.
No, it's okay, I've got it. It's Nadine and Nicola are sitting on everyone's laps, kind of up and forward. And we've got Drew, Kimberley, and Cheryl sitting back and kind of on the bottom.
And then we've got Faye on camera in the front seat.
Faye on camera. And then the taxi driver is just playing some really loud music and just having and he's just like kind of singing along to himself. And then this is where it made me really happy because the five of them in the back, including Drew, all kind of divulge into that super like giggly thing of where something is kind of weird to you because you're in another country and you're like a bit embarrassed and it's funny. And I don't know, I felt real fondness for the gals in this scene.
I know.
Apart from to use a Harry Potter reference that you won't appreciate, old moaning Myrtle, Cheryl, from that pile of bodies, we hear her voice.
Cheryl says that it's one of the worst days she's ever had.
One of the worst days I've ever had.
I'm like, Cheryl,
no,
I really don't think it is. I'm sorry to break the news to you, 2006 Cheryl. You're going to have worse days. There are worse days to come.
Yeah, this is... Can everybody point their heads in a different direction? If I smell one person's breath, I'm going to throw up. It's like, all right.
What is going on?
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Nadine's like, she's got the window down, she's got her head out the window, and Nicola says to her, be careful not to get your head chopped off. And Nadine comes back into the car and she says, I know, imagine if I came in and it was just a neck. just to read those words clearly to you. I know, imagine if I came in and it was just a neck. And she's being very serious. They get back to the Semiramis. Did you notice that the taxi driver is getting the camera tripod out of the boot? Translation trunk.
Very
American
kind of
listeners.
him.
Love that.
He was sweet, that taxi driver. At one point, he just looks at the camera and just goes, ha ha, when they're driving along, which made me laugh. So we then transition from day to night, and we're actually gonna go out with and Drew's actually organised a special night out with the girls and the Girls Aloud dancers.
I've called this Drew's Night Out.
I called this Night Out with the dancers. And apparently it's at a traditional Greek taverna. So what we hear again is some more Greek library music. Da-da. Da-da. Which then transitions to real Greek taverna music because there's a real band playing in that taverna.
This is so fun.
This does look really fun.
I'm like, you've got some time off, you're in Greece, let's lean into the culture, let's go to that Greek taverna and do some ouzo shows.
Absolutely. Well, and actually, I wrote, this actually does look fun.
Yeah.
And then, even the Paul Nichols in voiceover says, they're kind of, the day is forgotten, and several ouzos later, the girls are leaving the taverna. We then get to a very quick shot, and I referred to him as Miss Thing the dancer singing "Sound of the Underground" in the street. Very jealous of this man. He's very attractive. He's wearing jeans that have fallen down so far that you can fully see his full pair of briefs, and he's wearing like a purple vest. He's got a lot of accessories and jewelry going on, and he's just caterwauling "Sound of the Underground" and like dancing around in the street. And I was just like, I wish I'd been that person. That would have been my dream.
He's also doing that horrific Brits abroad thing of carrying like a drink in the street. That's a glass.
That's not going to be the last time that we see people acting like they're in Las Vegas and they can just pick up a glass and just walk to another hotel.
But even in Las Vegas, it would always be plastic.
Yeah, you're right.
Here it's like a mini glass of a very boozy spirit that he's drinking. Have you noticed something else the girls are carrying?
No, what are they carrying?
The girls are carrying single roses wrapped in plastic.
Oh, of course.
They're the Greek taverna, and of course the rose seller knows
at
they're going to target the Greek taverna. Those tourists are going to want a rose.
At some point they've been accosted. Yeah, and that whole table. And I bet they did that classic thing of going to all the gay male dancers and being like, "Oh, rose for the pretty," and they're all just like, "Oh, fine." Drew,
buy rose one each.
What's the currency in Greece at that point?
It would be. I have no clue. I was about to say drachma.
I was about to say drachma.
Wait a minute. Is it the drachma?
Is it a Greek drachma?
Drachma.
Well, we're giving it an incredibly German pronunciation. Drachma.
Yeah, it was Greece.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wait, no, replaced in 2002 by the euro.
Yes, no. But so even at that time, they would have been like, Drew, pass us some euros so we can pay for a rose.
Yeah. I want the red one. I want a red rose.
Drew being like, I've only got drachma. I didn't think about it.
So at this point, we've had your drunk aspirational dancer. Cheryl's saying something to the other dancers, like something about someone needs to go home.
Yes.
I didn't quite pick this up.
I think she was talking about herself in the third person. I think she was, again, trying to be like,
Sheza,
fun Shez. And it was like,
Sheza needs to go home.
Yeah. And
Back to the Semiramis.
It was, and it fell flat on me. I'm still smarting from her behaviour on that trip up the hill. So I wasn't on her side just yet. So then we're back on essentially the school bus, the school coach, and I wrote down the note. Did Nadine and Kim bring their glasses from the restaurant?
They did.
So Nadine and Kim are sitting together, cheersing to the camera, like with their little glasses of ouzo that they've just carried through the streets of Athens.
I like that moment because they look like they're having a really nice time together.
Yeah, I definitely feel like one of the things we picked up on is the little friendship between Kimberley and Nadine. They do seem to they have a nice rapport, don't they?
Oh, makes me happy.
Makes me
also
happy.
Cheryl's being a nightmare here.
Well, yeah, so they're having fun. We then get a fun shot of Nicola doing like a fun like glasses gag.
She's Nicola here is so funny.
Yeah,
she's had some ouzos. She's got some glasses on, and she's like flicking up the back of them so her glasses look like they're moving by themselves.
Yeah, she's doing a real like Morecambe and Wise routine for everyone on the bus, isn't she?
It really tickled me.
Me too. And she has quite a faraway look in her eyes that I find very funny. And then, just as I was feeling pure joy, cut back to moaning Myrtle at the front of the bus, Cheryl, and she just turns around and she goes, "Oh, this is why I don't drink." And then Drew fucking savaged her and just went, yeah, on camera. Cheryl's like, oh, she didn't even respond to it.
And also, it's like, Cheryl, the last episode, we saw you vomiting in a bin.
I know.
So don't be all like,
Exactly.
I don't drink on camera. You may not drink on camera, but you vom on
Yeah,
camera.
exactly. You moan on camera.
Now, Nicola's doing something else with the dancers, isn't she?
So one of the dancers, he's got some very 2006 gay male dancer hair that I'm very jealous of. Some kind of greasy blonde strands of locks coming down in a nice kind of curtained vibe. Very nice.
That was the hair I aspired to have, but my hair was always too thick and too dark.
Yeah, mine was too afro and not a white person enough to do it, which was very disappointing.
Well, I did try and get Tony and Guy really to highlight it,
Right.
to
and
get
then-
it to that stage.
And try and
but
dolphin beaks it down into the flat area.
get my much loved GHD Dolphin Beak mini stylers and some Paul Mitchell gloss drops in there. Yeah.
So he just inexplicably just starts going, we are the cheeky girls, we are the cheeky girls. But you can tell Nicola's so drunk that she doesn't quite, her brain hasn't quite registered that it's the cheeky girls song. So she just starts clapping along and making noises and kind of being like,
I would say she does the Greek Taverna remix of the Cheeky Girls.
yeah, she does. She just makes lots of what I would describe as general Greek noises.
Yeah.
And everyone on the bus is cracking up at Nicola. She's really making herself and everyone else laugh.
She is on fire.
Yeah, she really made me laugh.
Oh. What a night.
Oh, fucking hell. I mean, fucking hell. Don't know why I said it in that accent. The only way we can, let's keep on our high of Nicola and pop over to Runcorn with her, shall we?
Well, we never see the corporate gig. Probably because it's corporate, it's private.
It's private.
It's private.
We never see the real looks of disappointment on those Greek businessmen's face when they hear the girls singing "I'll Stand By You." Imagine them hearing the show. Ba 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 ba. If it's not you, I know I won't do that. Shoulda known, shoulda cared. All these businessmen being like, what the fuck? They'd be like, translate the lyrics for me. I don't understand. It's like, don't worry, it doesn't make sense in English.
Okay,
Anyway,
we're back
should we-
in the UK.
Yeah.
What have you called this section?
Back to Runcorn.
I've called it Nicola drives up north in her Audi TT.
She does. So yeah, we hear from Hills. She, as always, we've got to frame the scene with some boring person that works at the record company. So Hills tells us it's good for Nicola to go back home because she's very grounded. She loves her family. She's very grounded.
So,
I'm like, okay.
Oh, how illuminating.
Yeah, I'm like, oh wow.
Thanks, Hills.
She's such an individual character that she loves, she loves her family. Anyway, so yeah, basically we join her in her Audi TT. I wrote that I love her glasses and I love her braids. She has her hair in like two plaits and she's just got her glasses on in the Audi TT.
Well, you got to put your glasses on for the motorway.
Yeah, you really do. And she's basically saying like, she's talking to the camera and talking about how, the other girls sometimes say to her, or people say to her, like, oh my God, you drive home to see your family all the time. Like, isn't it annoying? She's just like, it's only 2.5 hours up the motorway.
Yeah, she finishes work at 7, she drives home, and then she comes back for 12 the next day.
Yeah. I think that's really sweet.
It is really sweet. She's making a real point here, and I really do believe her that she's got 2 younger brothers, and she wants to be a part of their lives as they grow up. She wants to be their sister. She wants them to know her, and she's being lovely.
And we're really in pre FaceTime as a casual way to keep up with people and make it feel more like you're there.
That's
that
a
doesn't
good
even
point.
exist.
It might be like Skype on a Dell laptop that you have to like load some credit onto.
Yeah, and I feel like to sit down for a Skype was a real formal occasion, whereas I feel like now she could have just popped FaceTime onto her mum and she'd be like, oh look, I'm with the boys, and they were like, oh.
Yeah.
Crucially in this scene, just as she's describing driving home, she just screams at another motorist. She's like, are you gonna go or what?
Yeah.
She's like, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Faye. So we go to Runcorn. Now, where is Runcorn?
Near Liverpool.
Okay, so that's where we are.
Yeah.
Again, we've spoken about this before. I've never been to Liverpool. You have for
I've had a hen weekend in Liverpool. One of the funnest weekends of my entire life. People in Liverpool are so nice. So much fun.
I've never been to Liverpool. I think it's quite like Glasgow. I think everyone, there are some insanely wonderful accents and fashions. Yeah. It's quite industrial, but it's quite glitzy. And everyone's very welcoming.
And yeah, the people on that weekend in Liverpool could not have been nicer. Like, I feel like genuinely people would just come up to you, and it was actually a bit like being here in the sense of like people, you know how disarming when you first move to LA and people are like being friendly to you in a shop or something. And you're like, all right.
What do you want?
You're like, get out of my face. And you're like, oh, someone's actually just being nice. And you're like, okay. I felt like that in Liverpool. I was just like, oh my God, all these people.
I really want to go.
Although I did, a girl almost hit me in a club because she had the most insane eyebrows I've ever seen, and she caught me looking for too long, and she went, what the fuck are you looking at? And I was like, oh my God. I was like, she could literally murder me. She was so scary. She could have killed me. She was a very small, petite woman. She could have murdered me. She would have had the skill.
Whoa.
What the fuck are you looking at? I was like, oh. Certainly wouldn't have said your eyebrows, but they were crazy. Like 2 big black slugs on their face. Anyway, so we're off to see her little brother Harry play football.
Did you have to play a Saturday sport in school?
Oh, not at school, but like personal activity. You know, like you know what I mean? Like if you played sport outside of school.
Did you not have to be like in a sports team at school or anything?
No.
Oh, okay.
If anything, we got the choice between playing football and netball when I was at school, and I chose netball. So it's goal attack. Anyway, no. We didn't have to play on a team or do anything sports outside of school. So my activity outside of school was horse riding. It was horse riding, and then I had a friend at school who loved sailing. So for a really short period of time, I got forced to go sailing on the Broads. Oh my God, it was so cold and so boring.
That sounds really wet,
Oh, it was
miserable.
so wet, miserable, ropes, wind, people shouting at you, pulling ropes that are also wet. And like, you know, when like a rope is in the water and then you have to pull it really quick and it flicks up at you and gets like Broads, like the Norfolk Broads pond water in your face.
And everything's got a name and it's like a different language.
Pull the jib and the line.
Starboard.
Yeah, no, sailing wasn't for me. It was brief. Horse riding was though. I was a horse girl, you know that.
I've always said about you, horsey. Dead horsey, that one. So it's Saturday. It looks like it's a football match, and Nicola's there. It looks a little chilly.
Yep.
Thank God she's wearing a trench coat.
I love her outfit in this scene. She's wearing a long white trench coat, like a black polo neck, like turtleneck, and a pair of jeans and like a pair of high like brown boots. I think she looks really cool. She doesn't look crazy like a crazy person, because I think they keep that clip in of her saying like, if anyone gets mud in my white coat, I'll kill you. But like, they're kind of trying to be like, oh, and it's like her walking in boots on the field, like a bit like, oh, crazy stars come home. I think she looks great, and I think she looks kind of normal.
Yeah.
She looks like normal great.
I agree. She looks sort of great, but kind of appropriate.
Yeah, totally. And so she's basically watching her younger brother play football, and then
she says something to camera operator Faye. She turns to the camera, referring to her brother, and she's like, "He's class, isn't he?"
Oh yeah, that's so sweet. Oh. This whole Nicola going home, I my heart had already like swelling with love and pride for her on that bus because she was making me laugh. And this scene just, I mean, oh my God, I felt like I almost could cry when I was watching this, but I've had a long weekend. And basically she gives her brother man of the match. We like gives him the little trophy, which is really cute.
Cute but questionable.
Oh well, you think it's just some on-camera nepotism happening. And then there's kind of it's kind of intercut with interviews with Nicola's dad, who is he like the football coach maybe, or like the football manager or something? He seems to be involved in the match,
something like that.
And he's just talking about like Nicola being basically how she's really nice and he's really nice. I just really liked her dad. He was really sweet.
They seem like such lovely people.
Yeah.
There's also a great moment where one of the little kids, after she gives out the man of the match, one of the little kids says directly to Nicola, "Are you and Girls Allowed?" And she's like, "Yeah."
Very underwhelming. He's like, yeah, okay. Oh yeah. So then we leave the football match and we go to Nicola's grandparents' house.
Yes, Nan and Granddad.
Well, they're also known as Eileen and Tom, which is my friend Siobhan's parents' names.
Lovely. As soon as they open the door to Nan and Granddad's, giant Girls Allowed sign poster in the wall.
Yes, signed by Nicola and Kimberley. Remember when the grandma's like, she's like, oh, it's signed. She's like, it's signed by Nicola and Kimberley. It's like none of the other girls.
Oh.
Or maybe she just likes Kimberley the most.
If you'd been in Girls Allowed, would your grandparents have had a poster of the group on the wall?
Maybe not a poster, but there would be a horrific amount of framed pictures, and they would be really bad pictures, judging by what photos my grandma has in her house of me and my brother. They're really like, ooh, very old, and some of them not great. What about you?
100% no.
Egyptian grandma.
Egyptian grandma would not have had a poster.
Sully the walls of that pyramid with a poster.
A poster on a wall, what, with blue tack? No, darling. And I would only sort of be featured if maybe me and the rest of the Girls Allowed met the Queen.
Yeah.
Or maybe met like, you know, a prime minister.
Or you'd done a promotional trip in Egypt and they'd given you like a photo inside of like a mini pyramid. That you'd have been like, well, this goes with the decor.
Exactly. That's perfect.
So yeah, Eileen and Tom, they seem so sweet, and then they basically bust out some home videos.
Oh.
And the videos are so cute. Nicola's little like ginger, her red hair is like very bright. And she's like, oh, I'm so chubby.
This whole section is classic, you know, grandparents oversharing.
Yeah.
Which is just so lovely. And it seems like her dad back then was so sweet, and even in the current day of 2006 is so sweet.
I liked his look. He had a real cool, like, he looked very gay.
I know, sort of like frosted like fringe,
Yeah.
frosted bangs. It'd be almost like being curled over.
Yeah.
Maybe he had a dolphin's beak.
Maybe. And then he has like in that home video had like a moustache and had like a kind of tank top. And she's like, oh, what top is dad wearing?
Also, at one point he says about Nicola, we'd be proud of her doing anything.
Yeah, that
It's
was
like,
so
oh.
sweet. So where should we go before we leave Runcorn?
Well, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go to is it a beef
Harvester? Oh, you think Beefeater?
I wrote Beefeater / Carvery lunch.
I wrote Harvester ? Because I could never get my eyes on any signage.
No, I couldn't. I was really trying to look at the menus.
It was definitely a chain restaurant, a very specific UK chain restaurant like Beefeater or Harvester.
Yeah.
Very
So-
like steak and chips.
solid, affordable.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting. There's going to be something for the
I was
kids.
gonna say, great kids menu. You can get a nice steak, egg and chips, maybe.
Oh yeah, or maybe like a gammon.
Gammon.
Gammon. Still, what? Don't know.
But not for me. I'm a vegetarian.
Do you think they might have Do you think they might have scampi on the menu?
Oh, of course they have scampi. Do you think? Of course they have scampi on the menu.
So Nicola's taking her brothers out for lunch before she goes back to London. It's cute here. Like the brothers start sort of playing with the camera,
Yeah.
and start like attacking camera operator Faye,
Yes.
and they're just having a lovely time.
And then this bit, she's just kind of talking about how, fame and money can like change a person. And she actually says getting a little bit of money and I can't remember what way around does she say it. She's kind of says she says getting a lot of money and a little bit of fame can really change a person. Mm-hmm. And she's basically just saying, she doesn't want it to be the be all and end all of her life. That's why she goes home so often, tries to stay like as grounded as she can. And I genuinely believe to this day, Nicola is still exactly as nice as that.
And she's got a really close relationship with her brothers.
100%.
They probably
Who must be, oh my God, how old must they be now?
Well, that's 2006, 14 years later. Oh my God, they're probably like late teens, early 20s.
That's really fucked up.
Oh my God. So, where are we going to go next? Because I've had my meal.
Well, we're going to go somewhere that you and I have little to minus zero interest in, which is Silverstone Racing Track.
I know. This section, look, for this TV show, Girls Loud Off the Record, this is perfect.
Yeah.
It's a very distinctive thing that they go do. Not my most
But I was going to say,
favorite place.
For us, I literally wrote, where's my note? I literally wrote, lots of driving, me and Ben find this boring, even though I didn't even know if you had.
So they are going to go film the TV show Fifth Gear,
Which is a rip-off of Top Gear.
Was it Channel 5?
It was Channel 5, yeah.
That's right. And they're going to have a chilly excursion to
Yeah.
Silverstone Racetrack.
Yeah, and we kind of see the girls arriving, and Nadine just goes, here we are, about to drive to your death. That really made me laugh.
I love this because it's classic Nadine. Like she's like us. She's not interested in this, but they're probably getting paid.
Yep.
And it's promo. Fine. We'll
She's
do
like,
it.
whatever, I'll just drive a car. Just gonna sell a stone, who cares?
Meanwhile, Sarah is the exact opposite. She's like bouncing in. She's like, I've got my racing jacket on. I've got my racing shoes on. I'm gonna do it.
I wrote, Sarah's in her prime. That haircut and jacket.
Oh.
That her haircut, that jacket, and driving a fast car at Silverstone, and like her going like, yeah. It's very. I feel like all I can hear is just her going, here I am, walking primrose.
She is peak Sarah.
Yeah,
here.
this is all just. None of the girls could have turned up, and it could have just been Sarah in
Yeah.
this scene. And we hear from James, the Fifth Gear producer. Seems like a lovely man. He basically says, I like Girls Aloud, so I just wanted them to be on the show, so that's why this is happening.
So I booked them and they said yes. Couldn't believe my luck. Yeah, seems like a very nice, no nonsense man.
Love him.
Meanwhile, Rachel Cook's there, isn't she?
She's doing it there. She really got on my nerves in this scene.
She basically says that the only reason that they're doing the show is that they get to drive cars and not pay for it.
Yeah. I don't know why that got on my nerves so much, but it did. Now I have a very, just to take it into our realm and take it away from cars and boring, very, very strange song choice to go into this next segment.
What is it?
It's a song called Androgynous Girls, and it only featured on the Girls Aloud B-Sides album. So, like, it's a B-side to one of the singles from the kind of Chemistry, What Will the Neighbors Say era. And it's a B-side. It's, like, completely hidden in the mist of time. And when I heard it, I suddenly realized that I knew it. How did I know it? I must have had it at some point. But it's this song called Androgynous Girls. And it's like, it's actually pretty fun. You can imagine someone with a dustpan and brush at the floor of Xenomania just sweeping up all the bits of the other songs, putting them all in, and then just putting them into the song blender. And they're like, oh, this one will do. And then like the lyrics are very like, boys like the girls on the da-da-da. It's all very, very them at that time.
It's also interesting that Girls Aloud, well, first of all, they're called Girls Aloud.
Yeah.
And they're also them. They couldn't be less androgynous.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, I'm just going to tell everyone, dig into those archives and find the song Androgynous Girls and report back to me.
So I want to set up what's going on in this scene. They're coming on this TV show, and each member of Girls Aloud is going to drive a Porsche around the racetrack.
It's not a Porsche.
It's not a Porsche?
The Porsche comes later.
No. It is the Porsche. Because Sarah
drives a Ferrari
later. It's a Porsche.
I again, because I hate cars so much,
You're blind.
I
you're
thought
blind
Ferrari and Porsche was the same thing in my head for a second.
They
They're
are
two different cars.
Different things, yeah.
Ferrari's Italian.
Anyway, so each member of Girls Aloud is going to drive a Porsche around the track. They're going to time them, and it's going to be like a fun competition.
Yeah, just because Fifth Gear is ripped off Top Gear, which is
a car in a reasonable
star
price.
in a reasonable whatever.
Cars don't care.
God, that was you and me trying to describe a Top Gear segment. That was really, I didn't like that.
Although I do want to say that one of the most fun moments I had in a TV show is we had Jeremy Clarkson come on when he used to present Top Gear.
Right.
That's not the fun bit.
Right.
The fun bit is we decided inexplicably at the end of the show we're going to get them to drive go-karts that you have to pedal.
Right.
The whole back of the BBC we turned into a racetrack with bales of hay.
Wow.
I organised lots of hens just to be going around so they could flutter around. We bought loads of watermelon to throw at Jeremy Clarkson when he was going
watermelon?
Watermelon, so they'd smash everywhere. One of the staff dressed up as an old lady and went across in front of him as he was driving around.
Okay, that is pretty fun.
It was one of those amazing moments where the day started and I ran up to our wonderful series producer and I was like, right, the hens are arriving at 2 and I've got the watermelon. It's like, this is TV.
Working in those talk shows have some of the best moments. I always, even though this is not my story, one of my favorite things is this guy Charlie that I worked with. He famously in the TV industry was the assistant producer who got whipped by Britney when she was walking around backstage at
Alan
Chatty
Carr.
Man, whipping them and telling them to work, bitch. And Charlie was one of the people. I think she whips him on the bum and she's like, "Go to work, bitch," and he's like, "Ooh."
Oh, jealous.
Shout out to Charlie.
So this is the show, and so one at a time the girls go around the track. It's pretty,
It's fine. I wrote lots of driving boring.
Yeah. So then...
Oh, so this is where it says Sarah's trying to pull some strings to get into the Ferrari.
She sure is.
Quick side note, the song, they switch from Androgynous Girls and it becomes the song Graffiti My Soul from the What Will the Neighbours Say album. Spike heels and skin tight jeans are gonna make I'm hanging on a wire. That song's really bad.
So, but meanwhile, they've in a bit of a time crunch. Thank God we've got Rachel Cook there. She's like, okay, yeah, Sarah, you can drive the Ferrari if you want, but we've got to leave at 2:15.
Quarter past.
Got to be in that car at 4:15, okay? And Sarah's like, okay, yes.
Yeah. So I, for some reason, I started in my notes just calling her Sez, S-E-Z. So Sez gets into the Ferrari and we hear lots of engine revving and there's a lot of like fanfare and everyone's all getting very flustered and overexcited here, aren't they?
Well, it's that over revving of, when you switch cars and every car's a bit different
Yes.
and it's a bit too sensitive.
Yes.
Bearing in mind this is like a sports car.
I was about to say,
so you basically just look at the accelerator
Yeah.
and it starts speeding.
the ultimate version of like just stalling when you get into a hire car.
Oh, well.
I've stalled so many hire cars. Well, I know you stalled in a hire car with Nadine. We've talked about
Stalled in a hire car when I was driving Nadine. Anyway.
Oh, you right there, buddy? You stalling the car?
Oh, don't mind me.
So, yeah, there's a lot of kind of fluttering happening as Sez is over revving that engine, and there's just a lot of men shouting, and it's all a bit like overwhelming at this point. And then I wrote classic Sez. She just crashes the Ferrari into someone's Land Rover.
Yeah. It's not a Land Rover, it's a people carrier.
Oh my God, I don't know anything about cars. I'm just literally plucking things out of the air. Sarah crashes her car into a
Tractor.
Testarossa.
So, yeah, she's trying to, basically, before she even gets into the racetrack, she's kind of going out of, like, the car park, and she just sidles into another car, and everyone's like, oh, no. Sarah doesn't seem to realise that she's done anything wrong.
No, she's it's like she couldn't feel the impact or hear the scrape of metal.
Well, that is a noisy car she's in.
And she's wearing a helmet.
She is wearing a helmet.
And then they move another car out of the way so that she doesn't crash into that. Then we just see lots of boring shots of her driving really fast in a Ferrari.
But before we get to that, just before she's crashed,
Oh, of course.
Tour manager Drew goes over and he says, to Sarah, are we going to continue with this? And then Sarah shouts back, yes, we are. And then Drew says something else and Sarah just shouts, Drew, I know.
And actually then Drew has to lean into the car and turn the wheel so that she kind of uncouples from the car that she's crashed into. That made me laugh. And then I wrote down, this whole sequence is making me very anxious.
It really is.
It's because there's so much sounds of engines revving as well, and that noise. You know when a motorbike drives past you really fast,
and you're like, I just want to know where it is.
It makes me so.
Once it's passed, when it's gone.
A noisy car or motorbike makes me so anxious.
Me
I hate that sound. It goes right through me, and it's horrible.
Oh.
It's just it also just goes hand in hand with this. Like I don't give a fuck about that whole world. So just like shut the fuck up.
So Sarah does her lap around the track. She comes back in. She sort of slightly swerves and jitters as she comes back in, and someone says, "Fuck." Hell, she's lethal. She's lethal. Did you notice as she steps out of the Ferrari? Did you notice what she's wearing?
No.
She's wearing a wedge heel. So no wonder she's struggling.
Well, yeah, you can't get a real feel for your foot through a wedge, can you? Because everything's at different angles and points than it should be.
Oh, no wonder.
You don't know where you're putting the pressure in a wedge, do you?
There's also a lovely moment earlier in the scene where once Cheryl's driven, she's like, well, it's actually a little bit difficult for me because this is a manual and I normally drive an automatic.
Oh, yeah, that was...
And then Nicola also says, no, it would have been easier if there were signposts.
Oh, yeah, that was...
like, wait, what? What are you talking about?
So Nicola got lost on the track, basically, is what she's saying.
She's driving in the grass.
And then they show Sarah the damage, and it's very funny, actually. She's just like, how much do I owe? The classic says.
It's like, it is a perfect scene written for Sarah.
It really is. Yeah, I can just, like I said, I could just hear her, basically her like almost like head back cackling at the top of her voice with Walking Primrose like playing in the background.
Yeah.
That's what sponsored that whole scene.
And maybe like at the beginning of the scene, before she crashes the Ferrari, posing in front of it, doing like the devil's horns with her hands, sticking her tongue out, and then posing after with it crashed, kind of being like, oops, but sexy.
Yes. I think all of those things exist somewhere.
That is...
Well,
episode
actually,
4.
Well, we actually round out the episode with the producer of Fifth Wheel or whatever it's called, and he just says Sarah is a proper nutcase.
Oh, actually, and he also says something earlier on. He says, you know, you hear all sorts of stories that they're terrible to work with, but they're actually really nice.
Yeah,
they've been dolls.
Yeah.
Like,
okay. And then he just calls Sarah a proper nutcase.
Okay.
Where are we going?
Up next week.
Oh my god, I have some things to say about coming up next week.
Coming up next week, I had to write down the voiceover
Thank
verbatim
you. Thank
because
you.
I was concerned.
Thank you.
Here it is. Girls Allowed head east and go behind the bamboo curtain, and there's a shot of Sarah bowing. Oh god.
Everything in that sentence is incorrect and bad.
I'm nervous.
And then we see Cheryl's back at home and a dog's weeing on her.
Sure.
Yeah. Weird. It's pissing on us, mum.
It's fucking weeing on me.
And then just as a quick side note, anyone that was watching at the time, they could have tuned in tomorrow night at 10 to watch Chanel's Dream Dates. Chantel's Dream Dates.
Chantel's Dreams Dates.
Yeah. It's
every
on again
night.
tomorrow at 10 p.m.
Oh, good repeats. We also just, in the comment, we do see an unimpressed Ken Livingston at the gig in China.
Oh, yeah.
And Nadine saying, that's the worst performance I've ever done.
That's the worst gig we've ever done. Yeah, I from my memory, this is rife with technical issues. This ambassadorial trip to Shanghai.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I guess we're going behind the bamboo curtain, I suppose, aren't we?
I do also want to say I did a bit more research.
On what?
Faye on camera operator Faye, who gets a real shout out a lot. I did a little Google. She's worked on Kerry Katona's show on MTV.
Oh.
She did Geordie Shore.
Oh.
She also did a documentary called McFly on the Wall.
Oh, that's a great name for a documentary.
I know. Also, what a CV.
Yeah.
What a resume.
Yeah.
Well done, Faye. That's it.
Oh my lord, we're on episode 4. We've only got 2 more to go.
Only 2 more to go.
I know. I mean, I'm sad, but I'm also happy because I find these episodes so. There's just so much to take in that I'm exhausted.
They're strangely nourishing.
They are.
They were designed to be a sip of Diet Coke.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got full fat.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe like a full fat cherry almost.
A full fat oh yeah, there's a twist of a taste
Yeah.
going on there. Final thoughts on this episode.
I loved this episode. I think maybe because I put so much on the last episode in my memory, I'd forgotten that the Grease stuff was so good.
Yeah.
I was so fixated on Cheryl in the Grease thing. I forgot that Kimberley does some of the best comedy she's ever done, and that Nicola is basically the funniest person ever. So yeah, loved it.
Great episode. What are we going to call this episode? Whole lot of what? Or something off the record?
Well, it's definitely a whole lot of moaning, for
A whole
sure.
lot of moaning. What about a whole lot of ouzo?
Ooze off the record.
One of those.
Whole lot of moaning, ooze off the record. There we go. Done and done.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
As ever, please get in touch on Instagram and Twitter and email.
The email address is yourwelcomeamericapodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you. We've got our usual You're Welcome America episodes every other Wednesday, and you've got another episode of Girls Aloud next Monday. Only 2 more to go.
Oh, what are we going to do? Well, we've got some ideas.
Oh, we've got a few little secrets up our sleeves.
Got a few little summons thinking about afterwards.
Do watch along on YouTube, and you know what? You're welcome.
Bye.
Like we had 3 different cocktails. And then wine.
So if I'm leaving like Pizza Express,
If anyone gets mud on this white coat, I swear to God I'll kill you.
I felt like a right twat.